Hello and welcome to the James Kennedy podcast for December the 21st. This will be the final podcast of 2022. There won't be one next week because you know what? I'll be sitting on my ass, getting drunk and enjoying the Christmas holidays, as should you be doing. But what a roller coaster this year has been, man. This time of year, I quite like this time of year because it's a chance to reflect, look back at the year that's happened and, things you've done, things you've learned, things you've had to overcome. And it's a time to kind of reflect and take stock and recharge, and get yourself fired up for the new year ahead of you, This year has seen some of the lowest points for me and also some of the highest. I lost my father in May, which is, one of the biggest tragedies anyone can have to deal with. I think about him every day and I probably always will. But I also got engaged to my wonderful love of my life, overlooking the caldera in gorgeous Santorini not long after. And then I had the police incident, of course, which was stressful, to say the least. Front page news here in Wales, which is not the kind of attention I want, really. So that just kind of added to the prolonging the whole drama of the thing. And then I've been getting these weird kind of... like I got back in 2019 where I was getting these vertigo attacks, and I don't know if I've spoken about this before. Back in 2019, I had a heart monitor on, I had an MRI scan, I had all my bloods done, I had my eyes checked, I had everything done, right? And everything came back fine, which was good to know, but I was getting this vertigo fainting thing and nausea and sensitivity to light, and it was like a migraine, and it was happening all the time. And I felt like I was having a stroke or I was having a heart attack or something like that. So I went to A&E twice, and they checked everything, checked my brain and checked my heart, and everything was hunky-dory, which was amazing. But it turned out that it was exhaustion. I was drinking way too much caffeine, which wasn't helping, and just burning the candle at both ends, basically. My body was just kind of closing down on multiple fronts, and I've had that back this year. So it's been 3 years since I've had it, and it's back in all of its glory. So I think that's my body telling me that it's time to put the brakes on. That this year has been a hell of a lot of stress, a hell of a lot of upset, a hell of a lot of massively highs and lows, quite intense. I haven't really been doing my true calling, which is music. I haven't been doing any of that shit because I've just been deep into the other stuff, And I'm itching to get back. I've got this awesome band, and I want to get out there and do some shows for you guys, but I can't do that if I'm not, mentally ready. So I'm going to put the brakes on. I'm going to recharge. I'm going to enjoy some Christmas cheer and some good food, good drink, and good company. And hopefully I'll be back roaring like a lion straight out of the gates in January 2023, rearing to go and kick some fucking asses. So that's why I like this time of year. It's a chance to kind of sit back, reflect, do some soul searching, make some plans, get your mojo back, and come out there swinging. So speaking of good company, today on the podcast, we've got my best friend in the world. I saved the best till last. This is the final podcast of the year, like I said. Those of you that have read my book, Noise Damage, will know of my long-term friendship with Mr. Clifford, lead singer of the incredible band Henry's Funeral Shoe. Well, he's going to be joining us today to chat all things about the band and give us the lowdown on what's happening at Camp HFS official and just shoot the shit. You know what I mean? So I actually only got him on because it's the only way that I can actually get to chat to him these days because he's so busy in his cool, awesome life. So I had to say, do you want to come on the podcast? Because I knew he'd say yes to that, whereas, he normally just avoids my calls. I'm joking, of course, because I speak to that dude every day. Every day. I've been best friends with Alid now since, we were in college, which seems like, a long, long time ago, because it was. And I'm telling you, man, you couldn't meet a better dude. Honestly, he's hilarious, and he's a solid, upstanding, awesome dude, and also an incredible musician with an amazing band. So if you haven't heard Henry's Funeral Shoe yet, what is wrong with you, and how is that possible even? Because they're everywhere. If you haven't heard them, just press stop on the podcast and go and have your eardrums and your mind blown first by checking out the band, and then come back and listen to the podcast. Making sure to subscribe and like and follow and share and click the ratings and all that jazz that I always ask you to do every single week whilst you're there. But for those of you who are already in the Henry's Funeral Shoe fan club like myself, we'll just get straight down to business and welcome onto the show. Not only one of the nicest, most talented and loveliest guys in the world, but my best friend on the planet and one half of the amazing bone-shattering band Henry's Funeral Shoe, Mr. Alid Clifford. It's bizarre to speak to you through this medium. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I'm just chuffed to be on this podcast because it is going... I'd never get on a podcast of this caliber if I wasn't friends with the host, would I?
Well, no, you wouldn't.
Let's be brutally honest.
Not at all, man. It's a privilege to have you on, you dude. I'm privileged you're gracing my humble podcast because I know there's a shitload of Henry's Funeral Shoe fans out there that want to know the lowdown and the goss as to what's happening in the camp. But for those, like I say this so often, for the three douchebags who don't know, who you are, because they are out there somewhere, believe it or not. Let's set the terrain just for those guys that haven't been introduced to the mad world of the band yet, and just like give us a lowdown on who you are, what's the band, what's the crack.
We're just two brothers in a rock and roll band, really, and that's it. I suppose it's fashionable to be in a duo, or maybe it was, but it just came around purely by serendipity, osmosis, however you want to put it, just bloody happened. And that's it, really. And we've been described as like blues rock, whatever. We're just a rock and roll band, and that is it. And
it's you and your younger brother, isn't it? You and Bren. So
me and
you sing and play guitar. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
With the better hair, yeah.
yes. Better everything. Bastard.
I know, yeah. So we've got Bren and Clifford smashing the skins behind you, and Mr. the main man here, Mr. Ali Clifford, playing guitar and vocals. There's two brothers in a band called Henry's Funeral Shoe, and kicking fucking ass basically for the past. How long the band been together?
I was thinking this the other day. I don't know really. It's like it kind of started because I think it's at least 10 years, but we went into like a limp mode beginning. We did a bit and then we didn't do anything. It was just like we didn't, but it kind of just, I don't know, it sort of took off then really with our first album. So it's got to be like, it might even be 12 years really. It's definitely like a full 10 of full on because I think, our second album came out in 2011. So was it 2011? I can't remember, but so it's over 10 years anyway, really.
That's crazy.
But it's nuts, isn't it? Considering, I was thinking that the other day and I was like, wow, it's got to be at least that. But it's down to my brother that we formed because I was like, not even asked. Well, it's like we've done yourself, including so many like different projects, if you want to call it that. And I was listening to the Blackout interview the other day. The guy from the Blackout, what's his name?
Sean.
Oh, it was class. That was just like summed everything up. It was brilliant because I know like I'm your mate and all that, but I'm a massive fan of the podcast. I do like genuinely listen to it all the time. Listen to everything because it's right up my street on every subject. And that one was really interesting because he summed it all up there. I was thinking, like, when you asked me on, I was thinking, what more can I say? That he just summed everything up, He was just like, Christ, has he been living in this band with me as well? Yeah. But I kind of think that's why the band started as my brother. Like, I think I was like 29 when we started, but I'd been like in bands before, and then I did like a year or a bit in another band, which were they had like really top management, and we worked in like all the best studios in London and Abbey Road and stuff like that. But I spent a lot of time with the engineer because we were into the same music, and all I heard was horror stories, just like and I was just thinking, Jesus, man, this is like what a weird business. And I think I'm fortunate because I never got into music to be rich and famous. Really, I just to play music, which is probably the wrong sort of attitude to have, maybe. But so and then I just remember coming back from London because I practically lived there for that time of year and a bit, doing all those like all these mad things, and playing with all these massive bands, and all I was hearing was like horror stories, and I was thinking, fucking hell, like I'm just gonna go home and play acoustic guitar and enjoy myself. Because my other band, Magic Dog, had finished, and that broke my heart. And I was like, when you're in bands and just gigging all the time. I think one time I was in like 4 different bands or projects.
Jesus.
As you're meant to be. Like I was doing like Magic Dog, then I did another project, then I was doing my solo thing, and then I was doing like a jazz blues duo thing. What the hell was I
remember that. Yeah.
Who the hell do I think I am playing jazz and stuff? And but you're out all the time. That's what you're meant to do when you're younger. Just be out and do it and chuck yourself in all these different situations and stuff. And it kind of like I come back from London and I was just like thinking, I'm not gonna I remember like Amy Watts was doing loads of acoustic stuff when she at the time before she got what she is now. I was thinking, that's all right, I'll do that with her. And I did a couple of gigs with Amy and just, and people like that. I was just going around, I was happy, but I started jamming with my brother. He just pestered the hell out of me to jam because he was so young at the time. And we got in the room and it just felt right. And he was almost created a monster.
Yeah.
It's his fault, really. It's his fault for my 10 years of misery. I could have been happy and rich by now. Imagine if I put my 10 years of effort into something else. Do you know what I mean? Friggin' hell.
Well, we've had that conversation before, haven't we? It's like, what if I'd gotten I think I mentioned it in the book, actually, because Mr. Aled Clifford here is the very Aled that I mentioned in the book, Noise Damage, quite frequently. And I think towards the end, I mentioned that me and you used to talk all the time, didn't we, about I wish I'd gotten a bloody apprenticeship in carpentry or something, a trade that I could actually earn a decent wage from,
Yeah. And it's funny going back to what Sean said, it's not woe is me, but it's like, it is literally like people sometimes just expect you to be grateful to play for nothing.
Yep.
It's like, fuck me, like, do you know what I mean? And we've all got those stories, but I've looked back and I've thought, shit, man, you think like how much time and effort it is driving up and down the motorways and all the rest when you do it because you love it, right?
Yeah.
But it does come to a point where you think like, and it's not an age thing, I don't think, because I know people doing it still a lot older than me and stuff. It's just a state of mind where you come to and you're like, fuck, this is really taking over everything.
Yeah.
And I am knackered. I am mentally fucking, and I think now because like, everyone's got a podcast and I'm naturally curious. I was thinking like doing podcasts, listen to podcasts and stuff on sleep and things. And I was thinking, fucking hell, probably give myself dementia now from the lack of sleep I've had. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking insane. Like, I remember when we played we come back from Mississippi. We did a tour of Mississippi. I came back, missed the flight back, I think. So anyway, we got back Tuesday afternoon. I was back in work Wednesday morning.
Wow.
And I moving house on a Friday, like.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like people see, especially a band like Henry's Funeral Show, that have got such a fierce live show. You know what I mean? It's like a real tour de force, and it's two people making all the noise of 10 men. And you can see how much you guys love it and how much passion and energy is there when you're on stage together. You know what I mean? It's like a real fucking kinetic kind of force. But then the true reality, like you say, is that like the next day, then once you get back from driving back from London or Nottingham or wherever it might be, you got two kids in the house, you got a job, and people don't see that side of it. They just think that you're rocking onto some party and then you're rocking onto another gig and, you live in this little fantasy world.
I don't blame them for that, because like nobody wants to come to the show when you're somebody moaning. It's not. it's just like I remember, mate. I think we just got lucky when I kind of got all the playing out of my system, really. And like I said, I was in a band with some of my best mates, Magic Dog, and I loved it. And I really loved it, It was hard, but the fun was immense. And like when that quit, like you kind of like, it's almost like losing a girlfriend or something. You don't know what to do with yourself. Yeah. Really, really weird. I suppose anyone who's played sport or whatever, and they were their mates every weekend, and then they get injured and they can't play. It's that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I got in another situation, which I didn't really like the music with the band, but I just thought, I've got to do this. This is what I've got to do to be a musician. So, practically living in London for a year, and I bought a house at the time. I was doing that up, so I'd come back and then I'd be like ripping up floorboards and fucking knocking down walls and all the rest. It was like relentless. Yeah. But it's just what you do, right? So, but I lost my train of thought now. Shit, where have I gone? See, it's mad.
It's the drugs. But, we forgot to mention that Aled is a raging drug addict. This is going to happen throughout the conversation.
That's it. It's all the heroin.
Don't ever go out in the car with me, dude. It won't be worth your while. Trust me.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, coffee is my drug of choice. No, but it's like you just do it, don't you? You just do it.
Yeah.
But then listening, I was always like thinking, we always run the band as a business as much as we could from the word off, because the band started, we had a couple of songs, and then even in the MySpace days, when we got signed through MySpace, that was my brother's like tenacity. Like he put it out there, he's like the biggest fan of the band. I wasn't that bothered. I just loved playing, and I was adamant I wouldn't chase that again, after chasing it for how many years, And they were like, "Oh, have you got enough songs to record an album?" And we're like, "Yeah," but we didn't.
Right.
So I asked the boys in Magic Dog if I could use the songs I wrote like one or two songs fully in the band, and then we'd worked out the arrangement. But that's how we would work in a band. We'd either work on something together, or they'd have something separately or whatever. And these just happened to be ones that I'd more or less written all myself, certainly lyrically, like. And they were like, I was like, "Boys, can I use these to beef up the album?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I had an acoustic song, and that was it. And we had like 4 or 5 we'd written as the band, because we'd been together a couple of months. But what we did is we didn't scrimp on savings from recording. So we made sure we spent as much money as we could down in Sonic One with Tim, because he's amazing. I met him through Magic Dog. I loved his drum sound they got on drum. So we went down there, and I think what happened was, with the MySpace, we had a better sound coming over the speakers than anyone else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, so right off the off then, we did that, and then it was like, oh, do you want to go on a tour? Because they had good connections with a good touring agent who'd done, like, the White Stripes and the Datsuns and all these other bands. And so I sold my car.
Wow.
Bought a van, and just went on tour to Holland, and like slept in the van, and it was just like that. But I think we did that in September. By the March then, we did a 2-month tour of Europe. We did like 5 or 6 countries. But I'd seen the business then from a touring side, and then I'd seen it from being in like, working with some, the producer we were working with was doing like, I think he'd done like the Arctic Monkeys, and he'd done, all I know is like 50 grand for 3 songs, and he'd done huge bands in the 90s, like all the big selling. Like, I think he did the biggest selling Travis album, he did Darkness, he did the Mannix albums, everything, the Everything Must Go album, is it that one? Yeah.
Right.
So he'd done all that. So, and I spent a lot of time with him, rather than going up on the piss, like, after we'd done recording.
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Steve Bush?
No, I've done some work with Steve afterwards, but this is Ian Grimble.
Right, okay, yeah.
2 Kilohertz. I don't know if it's still there, but he was a real interesting character, and we got on really well because we were just into music and the same music. I remember we stayed up one night in his house just drinking vodka and listening to, like, he was playing me basically all these artists he'd recorded, and they were freaking amazing, and how they'd not got anywhere.
Right.
I was like, how is this not got, and then he would tell me the horror story behind it, how a band would be shelved and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, this band, this female artist is big in, I don't know, fucking Indonesia or something. It was just bizarre. But I just got to hear all the horror stories, and then I spent some time with the mixing engineer in Abbey Road, who I got on really well with. And he would do the same. And then so he wasn't like, say they wouldn't do it on purpose, like horror stories, just tell me about the industry. And
well, yeah, like, exactly, yeah. You're just chatting. Everyone's anecdotes, unfortunately, tend to end badly, don't they? They don't tend to end with a happy ending. Like, it's just the nature of the business. Yeah,
and it wasn't like, it wasn't all doom and gloom, man. I mean, he'd be playing me stuff, and I'd be going, wow, this is amazing. What are they doing? What's she doing? What's he doing? And he'd be like, well, actually, nothing. And then they'd tell me the reason why. And you realise it's more about politics and timing, isn't it?
Yeah, and luck. Big time.
And luck, And I just remember thinking, the type of music I love is not going to... I'm not going to make a living out of this properly. Or did I think... I just think I was a bit bummed out, to be honest. I was like, man, this is just depressing. This is one fucking horror story after another with people who are far more talented than I am.
Yeah.
And will ever be. And I just like, well, I'm just going to go back home to Wales, and I'm just going to play acoustic shows and play the songs I love and keep it simple. And so then when I did come and we did do all that with the band, it was kind of like, I was like, I'm going to run this like a business. I remember thinking that in terms of like, we would gig and we'd get like 30 quid, 20 quid, 50 quid, whatever. We just chucked it in a pot. And then when it came the time to like buy a van and reinvest in better recording, because I remember thinking, I'm not going to make crap recordings. I want to make good recordings of anything we do. So it all went into that. Really. it was always regenerating itself.
Yeah, you were very sensible like that, because I remember. I mean, I was privy to like the very first demo that you guys did at Henry's Funeral Show, and like before that you were doing kind of solo acoustic stuff and playing in different bands and things. But I remember you sent me the first demo for Henry's Funeral Show. I was like, fucking hell, Jesus! I'd never heard you doing anything like that before. The way you were singing and the music was so aggressive, and I was like, man, this is I like this. You know what I mean? This is my kind of thing, and it was a real shock, but it sounded like a real together sound. It sounded like the band had been together for ages, but it was straight off the cuff. They just had that kind of vibe there. It just seemed to, obviously something worked in the room and it was meant to be.
I think you're right. I think my wife came once to a rehearsal and she was like, and we played the first song we wrote together. I remember writing Henry's Funeral Shoe in the bedroom, and I wanted to sound like the first, like Bleach. I love that album. The sound of the drums and stuff. And she came to I remember her coming to the rehearsal and we did, and she was just like gobsmacked, and I was like, oh, really? It's that good? And she was like, fucking hell. And I was, because I hate being a front man. So
right.
I really hate it. I don't like people looking at me. I'm not a people person. I'm really a miserable bastard, to be honest.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And I just like to keep myself to I think that's what I enjoyed about the other bands, is I'd be the guy on the side, so I could just like make noise and, But, so the idea is we record a demo as best we could and then get in a singer and a bass player and whatever, build the band up. But it was evident, really, on the recordings that people we played it to were like, well, you don't need anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And it wasn't, my background in terms of my music. So like, it wasn't trying to follow the Black Keys or the White Stripes or all that, because when they came along, I wasn't even impressed by them in the way that it wasn't new to me, because it just sounded like Buck of White or just like Sun House and things like that. It just sounded like that, electrified. I wasn't really like, I liked it. It was all right, but I wasn't listening to it. I wasn't like thinking, right, I'm going to put a duo together now.
Yeah.
It just didn't. I mean, people, following the band or watch the band, or we've been like, people say, oh, they're poor man's Black Keys or what. That's fine. I don't mind that.
People are always going to make those associations with things, and they, you know what I mean?
It's yeah. And if they've got nothing else to compare it to, that's absolutely fine. But it was never my intention, our intention. So that's how I know it happened just naturally and without any sort of plan. We didn't have a plan other than just keep going, and that's it, really. That's how the band sort of evolved, and we just kind of got on that for a long time. We got on that circuit, and
well, it took off quite quick for you guys as well, didn't it? Because you literally went from
nothing really.
Yeah, like here's our first demo, here's the sound, it's all there, and then suddenly, you're signed to a Live Records in America, and you're touring Europe, and the car advert with Charlie Sheen, on the Fiat ad and stuff, and it was just like it was one of those stories that you hear about time and time again, and where like a band just hits that kind of zeitgeist and just takes off, you know what I mean? And normally, like Sean, bring it back to what Sean was talking about last week. Normally what happens is, like in the case of a band like Pretty Vicious, they're on that roller coaster, and then all of a sudden it fucking explodes or implodes. Whereas for you guys, like coming back to what you said about being business savvy, was almost like you kind of rode that wave, and then you jumped off when it was when it was in full speed, and then you took the reins yourself. You kind of went independent. You took the wheel, and you used your business savvy to actually continue to finance the band. To this day, I think you're still doing that model, right?
Oh yeah. I think, like, going back to what you said about being business savvy, it was almost a case of like we got offered some. I wouldn't name any labels, but we got offered some decent stuff. And we got you go to London, you do all the whining and dining.
Yeah.
But ultimately, just like Sean was saying, is like, funny enough, when I was hearing his Pretty Vicious stories, I heard all those stories as well, because I know people associated with all that, and I feel really sorry for them because they got really hoodwinked. But we got not to that level, but we did get offered a hell of a lot of things, and you'd go there and you'd do that and you spend a day with them, with these people, and then they want to sign over all your music for the rest of your life and give you nothing for it. And I was like, and they'd say, yeah, but we're going to send you to Japan and stuff. And I'd be like, well, yeah, that's fine, but I need to fucking eat, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like, I just, maybe because, again, going back to being like, I am quite like sort of, I suppose, negative, but I just could see through the bullshit. I just wasn't impressed. I'm not impressed with flashy things, so I didn't give a fuck, like. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but we'll give you these amplifiers to use, and I'm like, I've got a decent amplifier. Yeah, but what about this guitar? Sorry, but I got a fucking guitar. Works all right. You know what I mean? It's like, literally, like, how am I going to pay the bills? And that's all I give a fuck about. It's like, and again, I think by so many times I've been to so many parts of the world. Again, it sounds because I always wanted to travel, but I want to do it through music, and I never got to do it. And all of a sudden, the band hit off, and I've been to fucking monumental places. So when you get like promised all these things, I was just like, and I think because we've done a lot on our own back, by the time anyone got a sniff of any bigger, they'd be saying, "Oh, we'd send you this, send you that." I was like, "Fucking already been there, been there."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's just like, where's the money?
Yeah.
And it's not all about the money, but it fucking is about the money.
But you've made money, though. You're one of the few bands I know that have actually made money. And you have been very clever about it. But also, I suppose the nature of what you do, like two men can make the same noise as 10 men in your band. So I suppose you've got a tight ship in that sense. You haven't got like, your show is very like punk rock, and it's just you two on the stage. There's no fucking frills or fireworks. You know what I mean? And you just,
I think that's what it was. It's like, again, I was going back to what you learned. And it's like, I played in another band, and it was very professional. We had all these backing tracks. We played to a click track.
Right.
We had string sections coming over. But fuck me, like, you turn up for a sound check and you'd be there for hours.
Yeah.
And then if the sound engineer decided to have a joint or a fucking drink, it'd fuck up, So it's like, oh, get here for 3 o'clock, boys.
Yeah.
So you drive all the way to fucking Nottingham for 3 o'clock, and then for like 45 minutes of a show to be fucked up. So if that was a conscious effort, I remember thinking, I'm going to strip this back so that it works. So like really, like on the tracks, like say if you get the albums or the EPs, or there'll be horns on stuff, there'll be piano, there'll be different instrumentation, because then I thought, well, there's a different listening experience for the, that's why we've not done a live album yet. It's like, oh, we'll do a live album. But it's like, well, we're not bringing anything new. It's just like two guys on stage, people can hold their phones up.
Right.
So before lockdown, we were going to do a live album. We had a tour in Russia, ironically, and Germany and a few other places. Then a further summer tour, but obviously But our idea was, because what we do is self-funding. So like right, we'll go out there on tour, we'll get some money, then we'll pull that back and make a live album with like a horn section, fucking harmonica players, all these things to make, like, if we do make a live album, then that's something, we can't play live like that all the time. So when people buy it, it's a different experience.
So different, yeah.
Yeah, so like our albums, they do have elements of everything, because then when they come to see us live, it's no frills. It's, we're going to kick your head in from the stage. And then when they have the album, it's like, oh, there's an acoustic track on it. Oh, there's strings, or there's whatever, So that's, that was always conscious. But I think we have made money and we've put it back in, but we've fucking lost it. Same as like yourself. I remember when we had our car advert in 2012, it was. Like, it's weird how the business works. We were on a tiny little label, great label. They were brilliant to us, but like, they were like, wouldn't put any money into promoting the song on. They were like, well, that's not very cool having a song on a car advert. I was like, okay, right, okay, but it is the biggest car advert in America right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's got the biggest, controversial actor on the advert. It was all these things, and they bought it for a lot of money.
Yeah.
But this is how we were naive at the time. We'd only been going a couple of years, and it was just like, we lost 30 grand from dollars to pounds.
Yeah.
During just the transfer, and I was like, where's the rest of my money? And then we hired this accountant who subsequently went to prison. So he's like, we had all this money, more money we'd ever seen in our life, and then it went. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I remember us phoning up and going, oh, can we speak to where I won't mention the guy's name. And he's like, oh, he's not with us anymore. I was like, oh, sorry, I thought he was dead. And she was like, he's in prison. I was like, oh, fuck. And then they actually made the paper, like, do you know what I mean?
Wow.
They did 2 years tax evasion and made the national press.
Fucking hell.
So you go from like, And then we got slammed for like we'd go down there, they were like, oh, they wouldn't take our calls. And the thing is, what it's like with the HMRC, they like, it's your accounts.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, if it fucks up, it's all on your head.
Yeah, and what the fuck do we know about that shit? You know what I mean? We just play guitar, like.
Exactly. That's when they go, oh, fucking so-and-so didn't pay his tax. And, they're really hard maybe on a rock star or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I used to be that person who don't pay. And now I realise, like, well, no, the accountants fuck you up. It's not, do you know what I mean?
But we don't know anything about it. We employ these people to just take care of it for us,
Exactly. So it's like, really, in the space of like, I don't know, 2 years, we had more money than I had seen in my whole life, and it went.
Yeah.
It was just like, but everyone, going back, everyone's got that, it did lead to like, because we had that press then, it was like, we did manage to get like on tour with Kiss things and stuff like that, but all these little sharks come, we had a dodgy manager who kind of hoodwinked us. We were too trusting, and it's like, trust. I tell you what, let's put it this way: if I had that type of money now, I wouldn't fucking be so stupid as to trust other people.
Yeah,
I would literally be like reinvested in the band, but not reinvested in other people.
Yeah.
You just kind of you do the things. It was all really we reinvested in the band to its detriment.
Right.
We wanted to grow it and stuff, and we ultimately got fucking shafted. But in the way that we weren't daft enough not to give up our jobs, and things like that. It was always, I knew, like when we went on tour for 6 weeks or 2 months across Europe, in the early stages of the band, I was like, this is fucking hard work. Because like, we made money, but we drove ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we always do. So other bands would hire drivers, they'd hire merch guys. We were like, okay, we need, to survive, you got to do this yourself. So you could have like a 9 to 14 hour drive across France. Then there's crack. You do the sound check, the blah blah blah. I remember my buddy going, "Oh, that sounds really hard," joking. And I was like, "Well, it isn't hard physically, but mentally, like it's like." We get into a hotel in Switzerland at 4 a.m. The concierge was just like, "Do you want breakfast?"
Yeah, people don't get it, man. People don't get it.
And I was like, 5-star hotel. I was like, this is amazing, but I've got 3 hours sleep until I got to get to France now.
Yeah.
And it's great, right? And all that is awesome, but it's not sustainable for any length of time. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because if you're not on tour, you're not making money, because you're not making money from album sales and stuff. And we fortunately we got a real good fan base, and that sustains us in some model, right? In some way when we're not on tour. But like, we went on tour with this band, and they had a driver and a merch guy, and he was from America. And we started the tour with them. I think we started in St. Malo. I can't remember. Anyway, and we finished with them in Germany, and we'd see them along now and again along this tour. We'd meet at a certain festival, and then blah blah blah. And no word of a lie, right? But at the end of that 2 months, he was green. Like, he looked fucking terrible. I was just like, fucking hell. He tried to stay up, partying, and I was like, fucking
Can't do
no
it.
chance.
Can't do it, man.
It's impossible. It's impossible. And like, it was just funny. And I just remember thinking, I want to do this for the rest of my life, but on my terms, because it's not, I just want to do it. And then having kids, my kids are a bit older now, so I don't mind being away longer. But I remember when my boy was really young, and like we were 6 weeks in France, we'd have like 3 days off, so I'd just drive home to see him. Like,
I remember,
drive home to see him for a couple hours and go again.
It's a wild life, man. people, they don't. You either get it or you don't. I think anyone that's done it, kind of doesn't need that explained, because they just totally get it. But like we talked about Ian Winwood's book Bodies. I don't know if you've had a chance to read that yet.
I haven't read it yet. No, but
it's brilliant.
The interview was amazing.
Oh, it's brilliant. And he talks about this thing of like, you can't complain about any of it because it's not seen as a proper job. It's seen as glamorous that you're going to Switzerland and staying in these 5-star hotels to then go on to play a show and have people that, worship you and buy you free drinks and stuff. You're not allowed to complain about any of that. But the toll it takes on you as a human being is fucking huge, man. And it's just weird as well, that feeling of always being in a state of flux, because, you go somewhere, you have this really intense experience, and then like an hour later, you're on the motorway in the dark again. It's weird. Yeah. And it's very much like, don't get me, the thing is, like, you have to back it up, same as what
song was doing the Woe Is Me. Don't get me wrong. It's not lost on me, but it's like you were saying, it's just like, oh, there's a gig in Switzerland. Cool. What time do we fly in? Okay, rah, rah. So you book a day off on work, you book a day or an afternoon off, and then you go, where's the cheapest flights from? Or Birmingham. Fuck, right, okay. You drive to Birmingham, you drive to Birmingham at 12 midnight, drive up, you get the plane, you go over, you do it, then you come back, you drive back, and you get up for work the next day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's literally it. And it's like, so it's not like you're driving in and you're going to sit on your ass for a couple of days, like, oh, back to work, and that's just how it is. And like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it.
Yeah.
But it is emotionally and like, emotionally, like lack of sleep and that, I can really like it.
Oh, it's a fucker, man.
It fucking ruins you, like.
Yeah,
but
it's a fucker, yeah.
But you have to. That's you keep doing it because you love it. But it's like, for me, I have massive stage frights. It was even worse. I think like when the band were doing really well and we were gigging a lot, and we were in Europe a lot, and blah blah blah. And I just like, it got to the stage where like I had to have a word myself because I was like, I think I need to stop it now because I had to stop the band, or because I don't like being on stage. I love being on stage and I love playing the music. I fucking love that. But I hate being a front man.
Right.
I hate people looking at me. It's wrong, isn't it? I hate people looking at me. I hate having to talk on between the mic because like I've got pretty like dark humor, and I'm thinking like they're just looking at me going, oh, look at that prick up there, And it's not until like if you gig with the Americans, they're very positive, like when they're like, hey man, nobody wants you to fail and blah. But I just come from that mindset of like,
we're British, nobody wants you to succeed. Everybody gets that makes them feel bad. Everybody wants you to fail, So it's like we push each other down here. It's like, look at that guy playing the guitar. He thinks he's something. What a pretentious wanker. You know what I mean? Stay in your box like us, you prick.
Yeah, that's it. And the worst thing is like people say to me, oh, you look like Noel Gallagher or Liam Gallagher. So I've thought about shaving my head because I'm like, I don't even listen to that music. So it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not like. It just doesn't come naturally to me. I don't like it. I have a very dark sense of humor. So when I'm on the microphone, I do sound like I'm trying to be smug, and I'm not. And I don't. And all these things, and like the way I play guitar, it would all come back. It's like I'm playing different tunings.
Yeah.
So I'd be worried, going, "Fuck, man! If this breaks now, how do I, go from one song to the other? That guitar's tuned like this." And, do you know what I mean? It would be all these stresses and anxieties. And I remember when we did the gig with Kiss, funny enough, I'd lay on the floor in No Word of Life for like 45 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm not even a fucking fan of Kiss, right? Don't even know anything by them. We got on it through our manager, a dodgy manager, I suppose, really. But anyway, because I got so worked up. Yeah, you know the story about that.
Yeah.
But I was lying on the floor of the shower, right, on this fucking massive cruise ship, just not enjoying it. Just
it's mad,
right out. And I think my brother got to a stage where I was bumming my brother out, I think, because he was just like, I was making him too nervous. We'd do sound checks, and I'd be like, oh, that's all right. I just want, and if we do a gig and they go, we only want half an hour, I'd be happy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like always making excuses, always worried about my voice, because how I sing it just happened. It wasn't like any sort of conscious choice to sing as aggressively as I do.
Yeah.
It just happens. That's why sometimes on the albums or the EPs, if there's a slower song, they think my brother's singing.
Yeah.
And then I'd blow my voice, and I'd be worried about blowing my voice.
Yeah.
And all those things, and I just thought in the end, I got to start learning to enjoy this. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. And I started to, ironically, just before lockdown. So all those fucking years, I literally was having monumental experiences and not enjoying them. Because I was too nervous on stage, and I hated being on stage. I loved the music. It always felt like sometimes used to say, like, after the gig, oh, the third member was here tonight. It would swamp around you,
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, it's like I don't like people looking at me. I don't like people. It's just,
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean, that's not why we get into it. I mean, there are people who are naturally exhibitionists who need that kind of attention. But I mean, I don't think that's true of most performers. In all honesty, I think like our passion is for the music and the instrument, and then there's this other element that it just comes with the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, I think when I played it, I think I said I played in a band before, and the guy would say like when I was doing like I suppose it's called like session work if you want to call it that. But anyway, he would we were doing all the work in London, and we were playing with some pretty fucking big bands, and he'd look out in the audience, while we'd be in a fest, when he'd look out and he'd say like, I can't wait to play to these chicks all night, man. And I'd be thinking the opposite.
Yeah,
I was thinking, I just don't think like I'd be thinking, I hope I don't fuck up. I hope my guitar sounds good. I hope they don't look at me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm the wrong. Basically, I'm the wrrong person for the fucking job.
Well, I think your fans would disagree with that, man. And I think it'd be like probably fascinating. I think for the fans of the band to hear this, because, like I said, the personality on stage looks like the sort of guy that could smash a fucking hole through you. You know what I mean? And the force of energy coming from the band. So it's really, it's great that you're all this open and honest about it, because I think it's really interesting. I don't think anyone that's ever seen the band live would ever imagine that all that was going on in your head whilst you were doing what you do on stage.
I think it's probably, this is more than anything is an age thing. Is before you have to put on a front. Now I don't give a fuck. Like it's just like, well, I think when Release Comfortable Skin is why that title is, I always wanted to have comfortable skin, and feel confident on the stage.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I still don't. But I think maybe that's why it sounds like that, is through frustration. And the only reason I've got through a lot of them is my brother. He's like the biggest fan of the band. He just loves playing the music of the band. And he would get excited, and his excitement I would feed off his excitement. And he's an ultimate professional, I'd do his head in, because like if we come up with a song and there's an arrangement, he will not forget that arrangement. But I'm mulling over going, maybe I should go like this, maybe I should change it. And we get rehearsals, and I go, and he's like, oh fuck, I've learned it this way now. I'm like,
yeah.
But it's always,
he's insane, man. He's insane. Like I remember he was doing some drum stuff down at the studio that I used to work in, and he just smashes everything one take. He is the one take bastard. You can just knock it out flawless first time, no problem, done. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate people like that.
He's honestly, I'm not just saying it because he's my brother. It's fascinating in the fact, like, again, nerves, anxiety thing. We were recording the third album, and we had this song, and when I went to the toilet, he said to Tim, he's like, oh, I'm just going to lay the drums down for this because he's nervous about this song, blah, blah, blah. So he went in and played the drums, right, to a click track, right, with fuck all else. Perfect. So like usually now, right, when you program a song, don't you know, it's not a click track, really. They program the drums, don't they? They program the beats for you to play along with.
Yeah.
So I was playing along to an actual drummer that has played to a fucking click track. He is fucking insane. And I'm not saying he's my...
No, man. I could testify to that as well, man.
He's done it before. We had this song, right, on the second album, which, again, the other thing is I play with different tunings, and that pisses him off. And I can't remember what tunings or settings on the amps or fucking anything, right, on the pedals. We've left some songs off stuff, which because we can't nail it, because I can't remember what I had my pedals on, which I take pictures of.
Right.
Now and blah, blah. But we had this one, and like, it was just a loop, right? So it was a guitar loop, which sounds easy, but there would be parts on there then when the drums had to change because, like, the vocal lines changed or whatever.
Right.
And he fucking went in and did it in fucking one, right? So this was a loop. I did a loop. I give it to the guy, and he just played, right? And I was like, fucking, and all I had to do was go in and sing it. He knew the song that well that he could play it, and he knew how I sang it vocally, so where my phrasing would be. It's fucking nuts.
It's nuts. It is nuts. Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. And like, that's how like I've got through so much, because like I go in the studio and I'd second guess everything, and he wouldn't be like, no, it's fine. He'd always like, he's always a voice of reason, but like, especially gigging, he wouldn't tell me. Like, sometimes people would turn up, they'd drive like 2 hours to come and watch us and things like that, and he just wouldn't tell me because he knew
I'd freak you out. Yeah.
Freak me out because I'm always like, oh fucking hell, they 2 hours to come and see us, what if we fucking shit? What if my voice goes? I want to waste the money, but do you know what I mean? It's not like that's just how I am.
That's mad. But I mean, that's part of what makes you though, isn't it? It's like if you didn't have those parts, you wouldn't be the musician you are. You wouldn't make the music you make, and you wouldn't perform it the way you do. So it's kind of like that bittersweet thing, whereas like you wish you didn't have that, but then if you didn't have that, maybe the music would lose something.
He saved my ass. He's almost like that pushy mother that gets you on the stage.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Get fucking pushing your child on the stage. So I kind of had to enjoy it for my brother's benefit as much as anything else. But it's just that's how we got frustrated because we had lockdown and like I was kind of like, okay, I think I'm comfortable now. I think our third album did so well, critically and all, and I was really like chuffed with him. We had a hell of a lot planned. And I was like, right, I am going to enjoy this now. I am going to do this. And then, like, just got the rug pulled. You know what I mean? But so did everyone.
Yeah.
But what I mean is I was in a different state with the band sort of mentally. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, I just learned to enjoy myself. And then we got stopped,
So now you got to start from scratch again now after getting your head into that place where you were ready to do that, and now you got to try and get your head back in that zone again after all this time off.
Exactly, and as a lockdown, lots of things have happened, and we had a fantastic booking agent in Europe. We lost him because he wanted to scale things back, which is fine. We still have mates with him and stuff, but his business got exceptionally bigger, and his band's got bigger. We couldn't commit to, like, he would want us to go on tour for like 2-3 months, and we were like, no, we're not. We're not comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Because we've got families and we got jobs, and for the very reasons we spoke about earlier, it's too fickle.
So where are things at now then? I mean, it's been a mad few years for both of us in different ways. You know what I mean? And for everybody, I suppose, in the world as well, going in terms of the lockdown and stuff, and the shake-up that our industry has had. We've come out of lockdown, as we talked about on previous episodes. With the venues are closing down, and every fucking band on the planet is now trying to catch up on 3 years of lost touring, so it's chaos. We're coming out of it into a new world now, which is very kind of different to what we knew before, but we've also there's life stuff as well, you know what I mean? So where is the band at now in terms of the road ahead and what's happening right now?
Well, in the summer we were going to record a new single. We were going to do something we've not done. We were just going to do a pure single. We've not had a single campaign. Do you know what I mean? We've done the albums and then chucked some stuff out randomly. Because we've not had the finances, I suppose, to like. I've noticed like bands they would do like EPs and then make an album.
Yeah.
Have a campaign, but again, there's no point in us releasing EPs because, well, we did once because we had a dodgy manager and we needed to get back on, and it was there was a strategy to that, but because we make our money on the road, there's no point releasing an EP because there's no money in it. You can't charge enough for what it costs to make. Yeah. So we were like, okay, well, we'll just do a single and we'll do a video and we'll do a campaign for that, build it up to our next album. But our mum got really ill. And again, we just, it's only rock and roll, but I'm not prepared to give up sort of spending time with our parents and all the rest.
Family first, man, always, yeah.
It's always family first. So we've been quiet because emotionally, first of all, with not Brexit. First of all, we had the Brexit thing, and it didn't really affect us to begin with. I was like, okay, let's see how that plans out. But then we had COVID, so we couldn't do anything about Brexit. And then these hurdles with fucking Brexit that we need to deal with now. But it was just like when Mum got ill, then we were just like, okay, we're not emotionally in the headspace because we couldn't get in the room together during COVID.
Yeah.
And then when we started, it was very stop-start. There's people have to cast their memories back. It's gone quick, but it wasn't straight for a while, And whereas in the past I used to write just on my own, the band is involved in the fact that it's more like sort of. What's the word really? It's the two of us writing together. I'll write the guitarist and all the lyrics and the melody and stuff, but the arrangements is more collaborative.
Right.
And we couldn't really get in the room to thrash out. And when we did, we were starting to do it, and we were like, Bill, as it felt again, we were like, this is amazing.
The buzz is back,
Start practicing every week, as we did with the third album. We're like, right, we got some fucking great songs. And we started playing them live, and that's what we always do, test them out live and stuff. And the ideas were flowing for albums, for songs that maybe wouldn't make it live, but they'll make the record. It got like that, and then Mum got ill, and it was just like family first, and it's time consuming. And any time spare we go now, we spend room with our mum and stuff.
Yeah.
And the band is a family band, isn't it? It's like me and my brother.
Yeah.
My dad, ironically, is a big part. If you go on tour, you kind of fucking, unless it's not on an airplane, he's coming, boy. He wants to come. So all that's come to a stop, really. And it's just like, basically, because, again, going back to what a lot of what Sean says, is we know the shit the industry is. And this is more important because the industry's so fickle and family isn't. So we haven't stopped, and I haven't stopped writing. I'm still writing.
You just parked up for a bit.
Just parked up. We've got half an album. I mean,
sweet,
really, but it's not. We got to build on that because it's a lot acoustic based, and it's not really what we're a bit of both.
That's awesome, man. So all the Henry's Funeral Shoe fans out there that have been thinking, what's going on? So basically, the band is just parked up in the pit stop for a bit, and when you guys are ready, you'll be back stronger than ever.
Yeah, we just had to pull. I went a couple of gigs, we just had to pull them because there's too much going on our end,
Right.
Mum doesn't mind us talking about that, and that's fine, but it's because I can't imagine the band ever stopping, really.
You guys will be the last band standing, man. Honestly, I never thought my last band was going to end, and you've outlived us, you know what I mean?
it's very funny you should say. My brother would text me, they've stopped again, these good bands.
Yeah.
We started at the same time as a lot of bands, right? But we kept it simple. We kept it just us. We kept reinvesting. We bought out to our record contract, which I'm not sure, looking back, was a good idea. I'm not sure, but we had other people giving us the wrong impression. And to be honest, they were a great label, but they wanted us to release stuff so frequently. It's like, it was almost pointless. And I'm not very prolific, and we're not prolific as a band. It's hard being a duo because it's weird. The music we make is, maybe it can be deemed as American sounding, but I can't. If we were an American band, we probably would have released about 10 albums, but it's like, you make a sound which is almost American or a hybrid maybe, and you have to sing as I have to bring it across as a Welsh person, don't I? Or as a it's like,
I think you've done the right thing, man, because if you were with the label, exactly like you just said, it's that hamster wheel thing there. That's the model that the labels still stick to. You do an album, tour it, do an album, tour it, do an album, tour it. And I think, for you, and you've said this several times now, the music comes first. So you'll make an album when you've got the album in you that you want to put out there. Otherwise, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I remember him saying you should do a covers album. And it worked well for other bands. I was just thinking, I don't really, I know. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, no, and we were almost like falling out over stuff. And
right.
And I didn't want it to come to that. And then we had the money off the car advert. So we thought, okay, we'll buy out of our contract. And then I think that worked in our favour. I think we've lost out maybe some song placements and things like that as a result, because I think, a lot of people go there for song placements. Right. To that label, they actually seek it out. But I mean, you've
done very well in that area, though, man. I mean, you've had more song placements as a band that I can think of any other band. You've had tons of them.
It's nuts. Since that, okay, we had a song with our actor Chris Evans, who plays like fucking Captain America. It's a good film, actually, just a true film. It's in that one before he got massive. Then we had the car advert. We had one or two like things in America, which wasn't massive, just little like sporting things. But since when we come out to the label and we've done it ourselves, we've been we were the opening credits for I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah.
A couple of years back, we were opening for Love Island. But I've got there's a bit of a caveat there, is we didn't give fucking proof we didn't agree to any of that, because and that's the other thing, right? Fucking music industry, the industry again, is like ITV send you something, or can we use? There was a number of songs they wanted. It was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And the way it works is that they pay money or something to use certain songs, right? From what I understand it. So if you give them the approval and you go, okay, and that's it, right?
Right.
So they can use it as they want. So you get, like, inverted commas, the exposure and stuff. And we're like, oh, that's cool. So we didn't hear off them for fucking, I don't know, months, right? So you just assume it's just one of those emails again and blah, blah. And then the next thing you know, I'm putting the kids to bed and I can hear my phone going mental downstairs and people are going, you know, and I'm a celebrity. You know, I don't fucking watch that nonsense, so I didn't know. But had I known, if ITV had come back to me and was like, yeah, we want to use our I'm a celebrity, I'd be like, well, okay, you can fucking cough up then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Big
like
time,
the biggest show on TV at that time. We didn't get nothing, right? I remember being in football with the boys, like, and they were like, what the fucking hell are you wearing those boots for? You should be wearing fucking golden boots. I was like,
yeah, people think you've hit the big time, man. It's mad. It's so mad. I think TV has got a lot to, like, Simon Cowell and all that shit, you know, like The Voice and X Factor. People think, like, you know, once you get, you know, a song on the radio, or if you get a song on a TV show or an advert or something like that somehow you're getting paid millions. You know what I mean? It's mental. You're actually probably getting paid fuck all.
Well, yeah, and it's almost a double-edged sword, because it's like, you get that, and it's like, then people are like, oh, they've sold out, right? I want the opportunity to fucking sell out, thank you very much. You know what I mean?
I've always said, man, it's not selling out, it's cashing in.
Well, yeah, and then, so they did that, and then the next thing I know, we're on, like, so we're not, like, just, like, background music. We were, like, the opening credits of the main series for, like, 3 minutes, when everyone's jumping out of a helicopter and being all introduced. And then they did the same thing with fucking, what they do with, they did it with Love Island, and that's another thing I don't know. I don't watch, you know? It's like, fucking hell. And then I think Channel 4 came onto us then and wanted us for, what sort of the nonsense they do? Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother, or one of those anyway. And I was like, they actually told us what it was going to be used for, and I was like, okay, I want some money for that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't pay us. And I was like, you're not having it then. Do you know what I mean? They were like, what about the exposure? I was like,
fuck off.
That's not going to pay my mortgage. It's not going to buy my kids uniforms.
Yeah.
I fucking want some money. Because, like, it's not like we've give our stuff to, like, independent things. You know, a lot of people have started off and they're making little films that you say, cool.
Charities or whatever, you know.
Fuck, that's the same. You're in the same position as us, you know. But when you've got these massive behemoth companies, fucking
pay me,
coming to you and wanting you, they like your song enough, they want to use it in their program, but they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, fuck right off then. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if it's in a cool film or something, then we're great. But it's like, Big Brother, like, it's everything I don't like on TV, but I will gladly take the money to fucking feed my kids. They won't pay, so they can kiss my ass. But I think you just see the inner workings of it all, and it's just, once you can see all that, it's quite handy. But it's a double-edged sword, and like, you know, maybe then when you're applying for festivals, the type of level we're at, we're seen as not cool because we've sold out. Then you have to, like, people have to know what went on before, you know. It's like, we can't get in a lot of things, and it's quite frustrating because we're a bit of an enigma. We're not a blues band, we're not a rock band, we're a rock and roll band. So it's like, we play blues festivals and we offend people. We play rock festivals and do you know what I mean? It's just like, and then you've got these, like, cool indie festivals that we don't get on. But
everywhere you go, though, you go down well everywhere, don't you? Whether it's, I could see how you could play a blues festival and win that audience, but you could also play a hard rock festival and win that audience.
Yeah, well, we've done it. We played, like, a real big blues festival. I can't remember where this was, but, like, you know, the promoter was angry because we wouldn't play, like, an hour and 45, and I was like, dude, we'll fucking do all, like, we don't do, like, you know, in the blues, you know, the crack, they'd be playing, like, guitar solos and stuff. I was like, we still are going to play 15 songs, buddy, but, you know, it just equates to an hour, you know?
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have us back, but when we played the festival and we sold out all the merch, we had, like, a line of, like, people queuing up. We've done it, and we're good at stealing audiences and other people's, and we've played, I remember us playing, like, in the early days, like, being played in, like, football clubs and rugby clubs, and I think, what are we doing here? But, you know, we're getting offered, like, 150 quid or something to do it all. 50 quid, and we got a European tour coming up, so you have to chuck money in the pot.
Yeah.
And, like, people would come up, and again, it'd be down to my brother because, like, you know, he'd be so animated and such a good drummer. They'd be like, your music's shit, but your fucking drummer's awesome. I come and watch you again. And it's like, I'll take that every day a week. Do you know what I mean? But it is frustrating because we tour across Europe and, you know, we do some big festivals and blah, blah, and you come to this country and it's like, we can't get on anything. And it goes back to, like, you and I have had that conversation. We haven't got a manager anymore. We've been through a couple of managers, most of them, but all of them have been great, apart from one. we're still friends with them more, but I think they get frustrated and they try and book us stuff and they can't get us stuff. So we are literally like doing everything ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and we're 90% of the time throughout this whole fucking whatever you want to call it. I ain't using that word journey because I fucking hate that. Oh my journey, fuck off. So it's like a proper American thing. I'm excited to see the journey. We go fuck off. So this whole episode we've been on, this whole travel thing, right? See me skirt around that word. We've done it ourselves. Like, man, you be sitting there with a laptop, literally open all the time. And it's like the one thing I hate, right? I hate having my phone all the time. I have to. I'm in work and I've got to apply to, you know, you be on Facebook and stuff, you know, it's like, a festival pops up. Shit, I better email them. Get on that. Totally. It's like, just going to the ballroom, innit? Yeah. Fucking, they must think I got something wrong with my bowels because I'm fucking emailing everyone. And, do you know what I mean? It's like, that's how you do it. And it is fucking relentless.
24/7, man.
It is 24/7. And it's like, and again, as fickle as a business is, if you don't reply to that email as quick as you can, you can miss out, blah, blah. You know, it's like, there's all these things. I've got endorsement with some amazing companies, some of the best pedal companies in the world. But I don't get it for free, the pedals or anything really, but it's promotion. Yeah. You know, and sending those things so you're on the front of their page or whatever. And it's just to keep, and that's an uncomfortable truth, you know. It's like I'll get an endorsement. I think I've got a great endorsement with TC Electronics. Beautiful pedals, but they can't afford to give me anything for free, you know. And I'll do that, and then boys are like, "Oh, give me a pedal, bud."
Yeah. Can you give me a Les Paul?
Yeah, it's like it's not, boys, but it's like, it's like, how'd you get that then? It's like literally sat instead of watching fucking EastEnders, I'm literally sat there, doing that. So
having no life.
Brother, and I think,
man.
Yeah, but I'm not. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm just.
No, you're just describing the true reality of it, man, which I think is interesting for people because there is so much mystique and smoke and mirrors, you know, and part of that is, you know, we need to maintain some of that because we're in the entertainment game, aren't we? But I do think it is interesting for people to know that, you know, the actual living human people behind that, you know, how they live their lives, you know?
Well, yeah, and it's like listening to the Black, I listened to Sean talk. It was just, that was almost, I was driving along listening, I was like, yeah, fucking right. You know what I mean? It's like I wanted to join in, you know what I mean? It was like, and they obviously, like, they were at a bigger level than we'll ever be at, you know? That's not what the type of music the Shoe makes and stuff. And I'll be honest, I was ignorant. It was bad. I knew it was banned, obviously, but I didn't listen to the music. I'm always lost in my own sort of world of music. I always missed.
Same, yeah.
It's funny, I remember when Oasis were massive. And I remember I was in school at the time and the teacher was like, because I just discovered, like, Robert Johnson and stuff, and he was just like, "Oh, you're into music, you Aled? I think you what teacher? I don't know. I think he's an English teacher, so lovely guy." And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Do you like Oasis?" And I was like, "Who?" He was like almost punched him in the face. And I was like, "Oh, I'm listening to this." I give him a fucking tape of Robert Johnson stuff, you know, that I just discovered off the film Crossroads, and he gave it back to me. He was nice about it, but I could tell he didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? But so that's why, like, things like the White Stripes, anything that our music is associated with, it almost passed me by. I didn't get the comparisons. I just didn't get it. You're just making music that you want to hear. I get it now, and I understand it. And I understand why they have to make those references. But I'd be like, I don't get that. I just like
same
ZZ Top. I've only recently got a ZZ Top album. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, I'll find out what you know. And it's like, oh, maybe that one song of ours does sound like ZZ Top, but that wasn't the intention. And that time I didn't know any ZZ Top. And it's just, when touring makes you play different types of music, sometimes I think, oh yeah, we're writing something and I'm like, that's going to sound shit on record, but that's going to kick ass.
Yes, yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And you do that, then you go over there, but without that live experience, you wouldn't have wrote that song or persevered. You'd be like, nah. But now it's like
100%. Yeah.
And it's vice versa. Some songs I want to play live, but we've tried them, and it's like, nah, man, they sound fucking dog shit. Like, you know, they sound great. They sound great on record. They're brilliant. You know. My sons are of an age now when they listen to it in the car. They go, my boy's like, oh, what do you do for a living? So they know, like, I teach music in the days and stuff. Teach guitars, and I'm like, oh, and I go on tour and stuff. And I was playing some of the earlier stuff in the car. My eldest turned around and he went, yeah, it's not your best song, though, is it?
Yeah, to your fans, you're like their idol, but then your kids are always gonna, you're always gonna be dad to your kids.
Oh, they always mock me. They go like, "Fucking hell, why don't you write better songs?" They might, why don't they call me Alan? Why don't you write better songs, Alan? I want a fucking PS5 for Christmas, Alan. Why don't you write better
Alan.
songs? And that's what they all like. I'm like, yeah, all right. You know what I mean? And it's like,
that's funny, man.
But it's funny. What's funny is they are friends of songs of the band. Like one time, my boy was on the phone on his bus, and he was like, he texted me on the way to school. He's like, "Dad, there's a boy here, and he doesn't believe I'm your son because he's a massive fan of the band." I was like, "Tell him to buy a T-shirt, but we got fucking
yeah. Tell him to prove it.
Yeah,
show me the vinyl.
Yeah, I got to pay for you with fucking school shoes. Tell him to buy a couple of T-shirts. But it is, but it's great in the fact that like now, because it's always been great because you've never chased that dream, just chasing the music, and
I think you've always done it the right way, man. I think that's why you're still around. I think that's why you've got such a passionate fan base. I think it's why you still own all of your own masters and your records, and you're able now to park up if you want to and then come back when you're ready, which you wouldn't be able to do if you were on a label. You'd be dropped like a sack of shit,
100%. And that makes all, I'm like, the last big label we went to, and they wanted to own everything. For years, and they wouldn't give it. It was like 20 odd years, and they would. And I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, I want to, and they were a big label, and I was like, I want fucking 50 odd grand off.
Show me the money.
Yeah. And they almost like, and they were like, because I was thinking, I want that money now because I know how fickle this industry is, and I want that money now so I can work with it now.
Yeah.
Because because that's just how it works, isn't it? And they were like, well, no, we can't give you that, but on your next album, we'll give you $5,000 towards recording. And I was like, fuck right off. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, they almost couldn't understand why. And it was almost like seeing us as being arrogant. It's like, well, no, we just see the reality of it. And
long term, yeah.
Exactly what you said. Imagine now we turn around and say, oh, we can't tour. Oh, Mum's really ill. We can't, blah, all these things. It'd be like, well, fuck you. Get on with it.
Tough shit, yeah.
Tough shit. Like, and I can't remember, I've watched so many documentaries, but I can't remember which one it was, but somebody said as soon as the accountants got involved and it became about units and blah, blah, and shareholders, that's when it changes. Like, but it's never been lost to me. I've known that anyway, but I think I've had such a magical time. It's only now that I reflect, like when we, fucking hell, man, we went to Mississippi, like you've known me since fucking however long, and when I went to Mississippi and played in Mississippi, because that's the music that made me want to play music and write songs, I honestly felt like I'd won the lottery.
Yeah.
Went there, played, done the gigs, come back, done the tour, played in all these places that I've dreamed about and read about, and I didn't even know how to function after that. Everything felt really flat.
Right. Because
it was just like, imagine like you wanted to play rugby for Wales, or you wanted to be an actor. Anything you've ever wanted to achieve at any point, imagine achieving that and then sitting back and being like, I was just like, it's done, I've done it.
And that's sort of like, I suppose to end on with a bit of balance, because we talk a lot on the podcast about the negative sides of being in a band in the music industry and stuff like that. I suppose that would be a good place to sort of like to remind people why we do this. It's that magical moments like that, whereby you may have not have gotten paid and it may have been really difficult, but man, who else can say they did that? You know what I mean? When you were sat there after the show with the adrenaline coursing through your veins, looking out, thinking, "Fuck, man, I'm in Mississippi." You know what I mean?
Oh, it just and like that's because, and what I love is like we've got that through the generosity of other people and loving our music,
right?
Because there's been people out there, a lot of people just like us who love music, who got the money, and these are the people I really admire. People like Chris Johnson, who was a guy right in Mississippi, Minneapolis, who he was based there, and he loved music so much that he would put festivals on and from everyone all over the world, and would go there, and he would lose like sometimes $50,000 a festival, right? But we got out there and doing these festivals in these places from people like him.
Yeah.
And they would fly us into Switzerland and blah, blah, just because they love the music and they want to, but so like we're putting ourselves on the line and so are they. money and everything,
Yeah.
And meeting those people, traveling to those places is worth everything. Like, and I think that's the positives. When people say, "Oh, would you do it again?" Blah blah. It's like, well, yeah, because like it's magic. There's no other way to describe it. It's like obviously true magic is watching your kids and blah blah, but that's a feeling that unless you know what it's like to be a musician, and there's a state and there's a flow called the flow state, and you only get that when you're not thinking.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing, and I've only felt it a few times because I've been like so anxious and nervous. But when you're on stage sometimes and you're in that flow state, it's fucking magic, man.
Yep.
And you're not going to get to do that unless you're doing something you love.
Yep.
Just not. I can't imagine like, unless you love building houses and you're in a flow state building houses or whatever. Everything is like a means to an end, isn't it? But that is it's just magic. So the people I've met along the way, and I'm excited to like keep it going. It's just, it's frustrating at the moment, but life gets in the way. Like, real life is real life, and everyone's going through it, And I will go back to that podcast you did with Sean. He was very positive and very honest, and I think everyone should listen to that, because it's a true reflection of how the industry is, And it's funny saying about Sean was saying about all the bullshit and stuff. And when people say things to me, I always immediately think bullshit first. Do you know what I mean? Let's see. Let's, not be negative, but it's like, let's see, But yeah, and the real people are the people who come to the gigs, people who buy the t-shirts, the vinyls, they fucking love it. And I am one of those people. I've started like consciously going to more gigs now, buying more records, buying more things, because like my kids are older now, so I'm able to. And it's being just a fan of music, like. So you always want to put on the best show and make the best music, because you don't want to feel like you're cheating people. Yeah. Because you are that person, really, ain't you?
There's nothing like it, man. It's transcendental, is what it is. You said about the flow, and I totally agree with that, man. Because once you're up there on that stage, with all the other stuff, that we've talked about before, the travel, the tiredness, the business, the getting screwed over. When you're up there on that stage, making that noise, with your brother or your brothers in arms, there is nothing like it, man. You can't put it into words. It's not. You can't. There's no words to describe that feeling.
I think
you either know it or you don't.
The last gig we did, I think, we did in festival in Devon. And as we were driving down, the lady was like, "Oh, everyone's leaving. Do you want to come?" She's like, I think she was embarrassed, like, because again, we've got that presence online. I think she thought we were like bigger than what we were. Yeah. We were like, "No, we're coming." It's only 2 hours away, 3 hours, to them, it's like a long drive. But because, you're used to touring, it's like, it's only a couple hours. Yeah. And honestly, God, there must have been 10 people in this tent. And we had an absolute fucking ball. There was no way we were going to travel that far to just like, to look down upon those people. There was only 10 people here. Do you know what I mean? It's like almost be patronizing them. It was like, no, man, you paid for us to come down. You were happy to pay for us to come down and entertain you. We are coming. And it was fucking magic, like. And it's part of that. It's part of some of my favorite songwriters and my mates. Yeah. So I was fascinated about that. And again, going back to what you were saying before, is we're on our own terms. Is the next sort of songs we've got for the album, there's going to be fucking piano and cellos on it and stuff like that, because we can do that, and
do what you want.
We choose to do that, and because we are funding it. Yeah, because if you're a fan of songs and music, you just want whatever song you write, you want it to come out as best you can. So
that's amazing. Well, I know that all the Henry's Funeral Shoe fans listening to this are going to be glad to hear that the band is, they are just in the pit stop at the moment, and they will be back, and there are songs in the works. Oh yeah. So that's good news to all of us, man. So. On behalf of all the HFS fans as well, of which I count myself as one, we want to salute you guys for, staying true to your art and staying independent and doing everything that you've done in order to ensure that you guys are the last band standing, and I think will continue to be so, and we look forward to, when you guys regroup, when everything's, resolved, and, you guys are in a better place. We look forward to having you back, smashing all of our eardrums in.
We like the cockroaches of the music industry. If there was like a fucking atomic bomb would happen, what do they say? Only cockroaches would survive.
The only things that are going to survive is the cockroaches and you two fuckers.
That's it. We'll still be here. But thanks for having me on, man. Because honestly, no, your podcast is It's brilliant. You've had some amazing guests. I've thoroughly enjoyed it and always recommend this. So it's like,
Thanks,
I
man.
was so honoured when you asked me to come on. Like, I've lowered the tone, so you need to get fucking Henry Rollins or someone on now.
I'm trying to get Henry. He's playing hardball. He's playing hard to get at the moment. You know what I mean? But I'll keep trying. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. I wanted to get you on for ages. You know what I mean? So I'm honoured that you give me your time. And it's obviously we talk a lot on the phone anyway. But we don't talk about this sort of stuff. We talk about mate stuff. So I've been able to sort of like to put my fanboy hat on and ask you what's happening with the band.
I'm only going to charge you 10 grand now, Jim.
You stingy bat. Speak to my accountant when he gets out of jail.
Fucking hell.
Al, thanks for coming on, man. It's been great to speak with you, buddy, and hopefully we'll do it again soon. Best wishes with everything ahead, and I can't wait to see you guys back out there again soon.
No worries. Thanks again, buddy. See you soon.
Thank you, man. Cheers, Al.
Yeah, man. Bye.
Mr. Aled Clifford of Henry's Funeral Shoe fame. What a dude. Let's hear it for him. Put it together. So there we go, all you screaming HFS fans. It's good news. The boys are going to be back kicking on your asses and eardrums really soon. And it's nice to hear of a band story or journey, to use the word that Aled hates, on the podcast, that there's got some positive elements to it. You know what I mean? Like the boys are still going strong. They're fully independent. They're in control of their own game. And they haven't been screwed and crushed and shat out by the industry bullshit machine, So it is possible. And as I said, if you haven't yet heard the band, do go and check out Henry's Funeral Shoe. They're available, on all the streaming platforms. They got some awesome merch as well, the t-shirts and vinyl and CDs and all that jazz. They got some awesome music videos and some live footage on YouTube that you can check out as well. If they come to your town, when the band are back in action, do go out and check these guys. You will not fucking believe the sound these two guys make on stage. Honestly, it's insane. I hope you enjoyed the chat. As always, if you did, please do subscribe, leave a rating and a review or a comment or whatever you want. It really helps us to keep this thing moving. And I will see you guys on the other side. In 2023, we're kicking straight in, first week of Jan, with some awesome guests lined up. They just keep coming, so do subscribe, keep an eye on what's happening, and stay in touch and keep listening. I hope you all have an amazing Christmas. Thanks so much to everyone that supported the podcast this year. I didn't have a podcast this time last year, And when I started this thing, I had no idea that I would be on episode number 34. I've spoken to some of my heroes and with many more lined up as well. So thanks so much for everyone that's been listening and subscribing and encouraging me to keep this thing going because, I had no ambition ever to do a podcast, and yet here we are going strong. And hopefully this time next year, I'll still be doing this thing. I wish you all an amazing Christmas, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, and wherever you're doing it, I'll be there with you in spirit, and I look forward to reconnecting with all you amazing people in 2 short weeks. Take this time to do a little bit of self-care, check in with what's really important in life. At this time of year, it's all about friends and family and the real shit. You know what I mean? So anything that still needs to be done can fucking wait. Take this time to recharge, refuel, get some fuel in your tank ready for January, and put your feet up and enjoy yourself. I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks again for all your support and your patience and your understanding and encouragement and general awesomeness. It never goes unnoticed. I really, really do appreciate it, and I look forward to reconnecting with you all really, really soon. In the meantime, I love you as always. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you on the flip side.